Thanks, Greg. I'm not sure after that whether I should buy gold or maybe guns and ammunition. I'd say gold. It's one of these things where I hope you're right, but I also hope you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but if you're right and gold has a good bid on it, I think maybe this is a good company for people to pay attention to. So I'd have to start by saying this is my 21st year attending PDAC, and I know I appear to be young, but I'm aged and grizzled on the inside. So I first came in, I think it was 1997, if I did my math correctly. So I turned 40 last year, so I guess the math does add up. But I would say lessons learned over that time frame are really what let us at Great Bear put together a company that I think has a very good chance of delivering good returns for our investors, and I think that's what Greg picked up on. I know we had a very good conversation at the last MIF conference, and I'll start into my story here. So just I'll be making some forward-looking statements on here. So I'd like to start off with really a good example of those lessons that we've learned through the many years of PDAC and the many, I would say, fantastic stories that we've heard over that time. Some of them are fantastic because they're great investment opportunities. Some are fantastic because they are strictly fantasies. Right? So what we have here is a high-grade gold project in a safe jurisdiction. We have very good drill results, and we're drilling pretty much right now. So these are things up on, I don't know if I have a pointer on this thing, but these are all items up on the screen that you will never see affiliated with our project. So there are no mountains. There are no helicopters. Definitely don't have these guys, so don't worry about that. And we're not hiding an ore body underneath a lake or anything like that. So one good thing I think to bear in mind is I love these guys. I love running around in them. They're very exciting, but I hate them at the same time. Because anytime you hear the rotor blades turning on one of those, that's not the sound of a drill bit spinning into the ground and generating gold or whatever the commodity is that you're looking for. So geologists have a real love-hate relationship with helicopters. The project that we have in Red Lake, what we do have is we have roads, we have a power line over the project, we have excellent access all year round, and we have a lot of gold. This is a gold project. Having a lot of gold is obviously the most important criteria. And there's a great deal of mining in the Red Lake District. So I guess if you summarize the total mining history, there's over 30 million ounces of gold produced in that district, or up to about 30 million ounces. I don't want to exaggerate. So, and keep this in mind when I'm speaking. Out of that, all those ounces produced, an average width would be about 2 meters. That's about as wide as my arm span. And that would be 2 meters of about 15 grams per ton gold. So think about that. Think about the physical volume of 30 million ounces of gold. It's all in predominantly within structures that are about this wide, and they can go down for miles. So what we have on the property, what Great Bear has, is very good gold numbers. And if I had time, I see I've wasted about half my presentation already. We have, I think I would just let you read this slide. So if you look at it, you can see what you look at, 2 meters of 15 grams, which would be the average of Red Lake production. Take the width, multiply by your gold grade, and it comes out to a number of about 30. So you can see this is some highlighted intercepts from our property. The gold numbers really do speak for themselves. So historically, since the time of discovery, back in about 1988, when Teck was the one that found gold here, there's been about 160 drill holes completed on the project. There's one area, and it's only one of many zones that we've been working on, but out of 73 drill holes that are completed into it, 70 of them hit at least 3 grams per ton gold, and 40 of them hit over 5 grams per ton gold. And the high-grade intercepts on this, as you can see, can get up to about 160 grams. So grade is not a challenge for this project, and it actually has excellent continuity as well. I'll get into the geology here in a second. So this is what we see. Right now, we announced this week that we're mobilizing a drill program. There's a bridge being put in over a creek that crosses part of the project. when that bridge is in within the next couple of days, this guy moves in and we start drilling. So this, you can drive from that point where the drill is right into Red Lake in about 20 minutes. So it's the kind of property where you're not having to build a camp even. We can actually just stay in the motel in town, which is fantastic. There's a lot of gold in the rock. The red circles are circling visible gold in the drill core. And you can see it's an active exploration program. So there's a lot of numbers that are going to be heading into the market in the near term. The important characteristics that you look for in Red Lake, well, there's some common characteristics that are associated with the big deposits. They all have major structures that run down the deposit. You need a plumbing system that's going to bring your gold-bearing fluids into the rocks. And then you see things like this, like evidence that we see in our drill core of large-scale folding. You see the silica, you see the sulfides. These are all the characteristics that you see at the major gold deposits in Red Lake. And this is also what we see with Great Bears projects, both Dixie Lake, and now we're actually finding the same kind of stuff at our West Madsen projects as well. When we did a high-resolution geophysical survey over our property recently, this is about 23 kilometers from end to end, we see a very large-scale structure. This is one of these major structures which provides gold into the area. A lot of the drilling that's been done is over about this 600-meter strike length area, but the total structure is over 20 kilometers long. You can see there's a magnetic signature to that mineralization. There's magnetic destruction here associated with the gold. We haven't tested these areas yet, but we see it again here. We see it again here, we see it again here, we see it again here. There's some drilling along there, and we see it again along in this area as well. So I don't know how many gold zones we will ultimately find at the Dixie Lake project, but already with the drilling that we have very high-grade mineralization with excellent continuity right here. This is what it looks like when you project that zone to surface. The big fat dots here are over, that's where we have intercepts over 5 grams per ton gold projected to surface. So you can see most of the drilling that we've done is along one limb of what we interpret as a fold. Some of the highlight intercepts we have are about 10 meters of 16 grams we drilled in this area. It's very exciting and very nice mineralization. Some of the other areas we haven't yet drilled, this is what we call the hinge zone. We see up to 160 gram material in that range. But there's a lot of drill intercepts. I think there's 5 holes completed here so far, and I think the average is about 2 meters of 15 grams that we see in there as well. But there are some 2 meters of multi-ounce material that we see. So it's very exciting. What you see here is a long section off the area that's drilled so far. This is to emphasize, I know I don't have a lot of time, but this emphasizes continuity of mineralization. This is really exceptional for the Red Lake District. As we see the red dots here are over 5 grams, and you can see that we see high-grade mineralization that plunges within a continuously mineralized sheet. Within this part of the project. We also see the same kind of mineralization here. There's a drill hole off in that area. We're going to be testing when we go in and do the work on the property now. About 2 kilometers away, there's some high-grade gold with the same type of mineralization that's been drilled, and we're going to be testing more mineralization in this area, drilling this high-grade hinge zone for the first time. And what's really exciting when we think about it as well, I'm just going to skip forward, is it looks like the zone is part of a large fold. And that fold that we see has the potential to duplicate the geology, the mineralized geology. And this is another area that we'd like to be testing in the upcoming program. So just to speak briefly about it, we also have a very active neighbor beside us here at our West Madsen property, Pure Gold Mining. They have about a 2 million ounce resource at about 8 grams sitting right beside us. They've recently been drilling right up to our property boundary, and I thought I would touch on that briefly. So some of the numbers that they've come out with, it was just over 1 kilometer away from our claim boundary, about 8 meters of 33 grams. Anyway, you can read off the numbers here, 2 meters of 22, 1.4 of 27, excellent gold numbers. This is a very active company. They drilled over 90,000 meters last year. I think it's a great company to have a look at for the general investor. I really admire the work that they've done. But what you can see here is a lot of that gold is along the southern flank of an ultramafic volcanic contact. And we can see, based on the high-resolution geophysics that we did, that contact continues along across our project. And we actually did some prospecting last year. We found gold mineralization, which is located in several areas along that contact. So we're quite optimistic, based on the gold that we've seen already, that could potentially be an extension off the mineralization that they're doing here. Just very briefly, to highlight again why Great Bear could be of interest to those of you who are interested in a leveraged gold play that can benefit from an active exploration cycle. We see excellent gold results so far on the property. I think the table spoke for itself. There's 100% ownership of all these projects, so we don't have any divided interest. There's no royalty overhang, so that leaves lots of doors open for us in the future. As I said, we're drilling right now. As soon as the bridge goes in, the drill will start spinning. The low-cost work, I've worked on projects all over Canada, actually all over the Americas, and we did our first drill program here. It cost us under $200 to drill a meter, and that's the lowest I've ever had the pleasure to be involved with. It means basically the money that we raise, it goes directly into the ground. On top of that, we have a very tight share structure, under 20 million shares issued and outstanding. So the success that we do have with the drill rig, that's highly leveraged for our investors. I think there's a possibility of generating very attractive returns. And as I mentioned at the final point, we have what looks like it is the on-strike extension of that mineralization that Pure Gold is currently drilling and generating those high-grade numbers from. So all in all, I would encourage you to keep an eye on Great Bear through the course of 2018. We're going to have a lot of news, and I think it'll be a very exciting story. Thank you.